On Valentine's Day 2019, William Barr, he was confirmed to serve a second term as U.S. Attorney General, having also served under President George Herbert Walker Bush. And ever since, he's been a lightning rod of controversy. Barr, he's been a major figure in the federal raids, breaking up protests in Portland and elsewhere without the consent or even notification of local officials. Barr, he also gave the order to clear peaceful protesters from Lafayette Park in Washington using tear gas and low-flying helicopters so the president could stage a photo op. Barr has intervened in the prosecutions of both Roger Stone and Michael Flynn, seeking lesser sentences than his prosecutors have sought, prompting many to resign and leading thousands of former federal prosecutors to call for Barr's resignation. And don't forget Barr's efforts to discredit Robert Mueller, as well as the Mueller report. Now, Barr, he held the report back for weeks, but he announced that, in his view, the report vindicated Trump. That prompted Mueller himself to complain about Barr's actions and his shading of the report. And the list goes on, from aiding Rudy Giuliani's hunt for information in Ukraine, investigating the origins of the Russia probe, and more. And just about everything Barr does as AG seems to benefit the president and harm anyone who takes the president to task. Now, that was certainly the approach that House Republicans had when Barr finally agreed to answer these questions Tuesday, the first time he's done so since his confirmation. Barr's actions and the hearing this week prompting USA Today contributor Paul Rosenzweig to author this piece, The Unethical William Barr, 27 lawyers, 4 powerful allegations of dishonesty and deceit. And in it, Rosenzweig calls Barr America's, quote, most important public lawyer, and adds, we can't trust him. And for more, we are joined by the author of that piece. Paul is also the resident senior fellow for national security and cybersecurity at the public policy research group R Street. And he was senior counsel to Kenneth Starr during the Whitewater probe and deputy assistant secretary in the Bush 43 administration. He's kind enough to give us some time. Paul, you know, it devolved into a shirts and skins this week. I don't think anyone waiting to hear either contrition or some kind of consensus out of the hearings would have been disappointed. But it's amazing to me, before we get into what he did, that he had something to lose. Unlike some, D-listers that have populated this administration, he had a real reputation, did Barr, before he took the job. I can't find anyone to explain to me why he's gone to the lengths he has to protect this president when he clearly knows better.
Well, I think that's a great question. Like you, I'm actually quite surprised at the turn that Attorney General Barr has taken, because, like I infer you, I thought that he had a history, a background, and a reputation that he was going to seek to uphold. I actually thought that his appointment as Attorney General was likely to be a benefit to the department in bringing back somebody with an extensive experience, with ties back to the Bush administration, somebody who would restore the department to the independence that it had occupied under Bush, under Obama, and not under Trump and Jeff Sessions. So I confess I'm really quite surprised. I think the only answer that I can give you, and it's speculative on my part, is that this is an opportunity he'd been waiting for all of his life, that what we're seeing now is the true Bill Barr, who really does believe in a supreme executive authority unchecked by Congress and unchecked by the courts. And now he's got a president who will allow him to run wild with that theory. And that's my speculation. I just don't know.
And I think you're not the only one taken by surprise that knew the previous William Barr. I mentioned before, you were there in the Homeland Security Department, really at its founding. And it struck me, Tom Ridge came out and said, this is not what we designed Homeland Security for, to be sending basically government troops into cities without even the request on the part of the municipal leaders. And we didn't want them to go into Lafayette Park and break up a peaceful demonstration. That's not what this department was created for. Moreover, I saw today at the funeral of John Lewis, I saw George W. Bush talking about the Voting Rights Act, and as a point of pride for him at the very day that the sitting president is talking about possibly delaying the election and talking about massive voter fraud where no one can find that it exists. It's stunning where we are now versus where he was the last time he served in this capacity.
I think that that's right. I mean, the list of people who reject the Barr Trump vision of executive power is long and growing every day. You named Tom Ridge. Former DHS Secretary Michael Chertoff wrote an op-ed in the New York Times the other day. There was another op-ed by 21 security officials in USA Today 2 days ago. There are so many people who see such an aberration in the way that Bill Barr has been transforming the department. And then, you referenced the piece I wrote earlier about the ethics complaint against Attorney General Barr. That brought together 27 attorneys with experience in ethics and morality for lawyers, which I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but in truth, there are stringent ethics rules for lawyers. And they filed a complaint with the DC Bar seeking to have the DC Bar in effect discipline Bill Barr and perhaps even pull his law license. This is pretty extreme behavior that we haven't seen from any attorney general since John Mitchell, who of course went to jail for his role in defending Richard Nixon.
And to echo your point, I can't tell you the number of former federal prosecutors, Paul, from across the ideological spectrum, working for administrations, Republican and Democrat, who are gobsmacked by what they're seeing happen at their beloved DOJ. And the idea of going after the IGs, the idea of going after Mueller himself here and misrepresenting what was in the report, they don't know where to go. But I will tell you, what I thought was very telling and a little frightening, frankly, is you forecasted some of the areas where no one can claim if they're surprised if Barr goes between now and November and even possibly beyond November, where the idea that we're not going to count people in the census because they're not their legal status, in his view, and the president said they shouldn't be counted. That voting via mail, even though we're doing it in multiple states in this country, he claims that wouldn't be acceptable. Even delegitimizing, as the president has already done once and threatened to do again if the results don't go his way, that he'll have a friend in the Attorney General to do so. You say this morning's, don't treat him as a joke here, because that very well could happen. I still don't get why Barr will do it, but nobody should claim shock if he goes down that road.
I think that's absolutely right. Every public official comes into the job with a storehouse of credibility that they spend over the course of their time in office. Bill Barr's storehouse of credibility is empty right now. He has drained it dry, from lying about what was in the Mueller report to his most recent misstatements about his role in Lafayette Park. He has reached a point where, I think rightly, Americans should treat anything he says with a high degree of skepticism. If he tells you that mail-in balloting is at risk, rather than accepting that, rather than believing that the government would never lie to you, we should begin from the premise that we would want to know why he thinks that benefits President Trump. The other day, he was asked whether he had any evidence at all of mail-in ballot fraud, and he said in the hearing that he had none, but it was just common sense to think that it was possible. And it may be commonsensical to him, but to most of us, including the president who votes by mail, it's actually just an easier way to vote.
And again, we are in the middle of a pandemic, but I thought your piece was not only spot on, but I also thought the questions that it raises between now and the next few months, people ought to be paying very close attention to. Paul Rosenzweig, I appreciate the time today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It was great to be here.
When we come back, everyone, we will once again remember John Lewis, but we're going to listen to his words from 57 years ago. Please stay with us.